going to be talking about the state of cannabis in Ohio. I'm Mike Fouché, the editor at Grown In, and today we are joined by Tim Johnson with Backdrop and Bill Williams coming from his office. So first I want to thank our sponsors for joining us today and for making this happen. American Cannabis Company, which operates a vertically, if you're operating a vertically integrated or standalone cannabis business, it has unique and complex challenges. American Cannabis Company provides consulting and solutions to increase efficiency and quality while reducing operational challenges and pitfalls. As well as Englewood Construction, with national experience with high-end retail and secure industrial facilities, Englewood Construction is a practical choice for cannabis facility construction. Our stable of diverse and equitable partners lets Englewood Construction create your vision anywhere in the United States. And then, how can Grown In infuse this intelligence into your cannabis corporation? Visit grownin.com/learning to schedule a demo. So our panelists today are Tim Johnson. Tim is a retired law enforcement officer and has 30 years experience in the safety and security disciplines, and is founder of Cannabis Safety First, that provides services to the Ohio Medical Cannabis Program. As an instrumental participant in the creation of the Ohio Medical Cannabis and Ohio Hemp programs, Tim continues to work with state legislators to secure patient protection rights, instill criminal protection rights, and to promote the betterment of programs. Bill Williams Jr. is president and CEO of Beneleaves, an independent medical cannabis processor in Columbus, Ohio. Beneleaves makes vape cartridges, gummies, lotions, capsules, and even gluten-free cookies. Bill previously was director of national sales for his family company, Glory Foods. From seed to shelf, he was involved and helped build his national company brand, responsible for managing the sales and marketing of Glory Foods to all supermarket customers across the United States. Bill helped build Glory Foods' national brand. So I want to thank you both for joining us today. It's great to have you here. Attendees, I want to remind you that we have a chat that's going on at the same time. If there's comments that you have, if you want to bring things up, please put it in the chat. We're going to have a Q&A at the end. So questions that you put into the chat, I'll be asking our panelists directly. So please jump in there and write down what it is, whatever it is that you have to say. And Bill and Tim, if you want to get into the chat too, go right ahead. That's your call. So I want to ask you guys first, Tim, if you want to jump in first. Today is the deadline to apply for 73 new dispensary licenses. Who do you think are going to be the likely big winners in Ohio for these licenses?
You're correct, Mike. Today is the final day, and thanks for having us. And it's a pleasure to be sitting alongside Bill here with one of the better known processors here in Central Ohio and in the state program. The 73 is 2 o'clock's the deadline today. As far as who's going to get it, the program changed some of the rules around, and it's not just based on your test score anymore. It's a pass-fail type thing, and then you're into a lottery system into whatever district that you've chosen. I believe there's 31, and I don't know, Bill could probably correct me if I'm getting stuff wrong here, but I believe there's 31 districts that are available. So once you're in that, your application's in that district, if there's 3 licenses available, it's a matter of the first 3 that they pull out that have passed the requirements of the application will be the ones awarded that. So I've heard some different, I think a lot of like companies from Ohio and a lot of people that are just wanting to get into the program here in Ohio. We're seeing a lot of applicants. That's who I dealt with a lot of. Some of the larger MSOs, I think, have decided maybe to set it out in hopes that they can approach somebody that wins a provisional and possibly, make a business transaction there with them. So I think it's kind of an open door this time, really, when you're doing a lottery system. It kind of squares it out more rather than having the companies with a lot of money to pay, big money to get a high score on the application versus, mom and pop wanting to come in and start up. So yeah, we'll wait and see.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's going to be. Thank you again. Thank you for Grown In for having us here today. I agree. I hope it is a lot more of Ohioans that win in this second round. It's supposed to be for Ohioans by Ohioans. So I really do hope that it's a lot of, nothing against the MSOs. You need those big guys in the industry just to help us figure out things and make it a better program. But it should also be an opportunity for some of the smaller guys, if you will, to get an opportunity to get into this industry. It's a fantastic industry, and all should be welcome. So I hope it's a lot of locals that win, and should be fantastic. It should be great. All those licenses, 73 additional licenses. We're gonna have 130 stores in the state of Ohio. So we're gonna have a really good footprint. We'll be able to help a lot more patients of Ohio this way.
Tim, you and Bill, before we got started, were talking about when the results should come out. There is no set defined date in the regulations that the state put out, right?
Yeah.
How do we know when we're going to find out when all this is resolved?
Well, there is no set date. And I think there's a couple of different theories out there that after the first of the year, they should have started the process to see who's going to get the provisional. And then there's also second quarter they're predicting. And I guess it comes down to two different ways. It's based on how they actually do the scoring, because there's kind of mixed messages on that, as well as, are they going to put the application into the district and then draw them out until they get enough to suffice the available license in that district as a pass-fail? As you know, it's not a score thing, it's a pass-fail this time around. Or are they going to go through all the applications and pick out all the ones that have passed, put them into the district, and then pull out the winners? So depends on which way they do it. Really plays a big role in the time frame when they'll be announcing who the provisional license awardees are.
Yeah, the quicker the better. The quicker the better. Let's get them awarded. Let's get everybody the opportunity to build out, and let's get them open as quick as possible. Just the patients of Ohio are driving. Some people are driving farther than you think to get to their medicine. So the quicker we can fill in some of the holes in the state by opening these up, I think it's going to help a lot more patients.
So far, Ohio has avoided a lot of lawsuits. I mean, there was one particular one about whether or not a cultivator should be able to enlarge their grow space. But in terms of the licensing process, do you anticipate that there's going to be lawsuits at all? Or I mean, has there been rumbling about that?
I think you're always going to see lawsuits in this industry. It's developing. It's still very in infancy as it develops across the nation. So I think that until we have a full program operational in each state, and then federal is on board with it as well, I think you'll see things at that point slowing down. But while states are creating programs and licenses are being issued, there's always going to be a loophole somewhere that allows for a lawsuit that somebody hasn't checked their facts along the way. And, some attorney comes in, the companies come in, they oversee what's happening, and they see some discrepancies. So they want to correct that.
So far, we've been talking about medical licenses and that talk about expanding the medical program. And I do want to ask you about legalization, but right now there is a bill that was announced recently by some Republicans, SB 261, which would significantly increase the number of people that would be eligible to get a medical card. But basically, it would, if I read it correctly, it's whatever a doctor thinks somebody might need or under whatever circumstance, right? Do you guys see that as being a big change in the number of patients there's going to be? Does that open up the medical market in a big way, or is this just window dressing?
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. This is going to help. The biggest problem we have, in my opinion, in this industry is just awareness. People just don't even know we're here, we exist. So yeah, the less barriers to entry will absolutely help us out. It's not hard for somebody to get their card if you show you have one of the 21 conditions. But yeah, if we open it up to more people, it's absolutely, I don't believe it's window dressing. I think they're making these changes so we can help more people of Ohio.
Yeah, 261s, I think, is gonna make some drastic improvements that should have been actually, well, we did address them when we created the program, and then they ended up being dismissed when the actual rules and regulations were made or created by the regulators. So a lot of stuff was taken out of the program initially on the creation of 523. So what I see is with the opportunities they're offering in 261, as far as the doctor part, the doctors are still going to have to be CTR, so they'll still have to take the course to understand cannabis. But they're making it simpler. It's actually a doctor's choice and a patient's choice to decide on the condition, as Bill elaborated on there. So, and that's the way it should have been from the beginning, and that's what we requested, but all of a sudden we came up with these, okay, you got qualifying conditions. Well, our response to that is, please tell me another medication that has qualifying conditions, and et cetera, with that. So by allowing the doctors to participate, they get more involved in the industry other than just sending an email recommendation. Now they can actually consult with the patient. I believe they're going to be given rights to consult with the pharmacist or whoever's running the dispensing at the dispensaries, which is good for both to learn back and forth from each other. And as far as tracking, it's done in, regular big pharma medication, RX in pharmacies and so forth. So why not with this?
What do you, I mean, right now there's about 250,000 patients in Ohio. Is that right?
Patients,
213.
213.
365 right now.
Okay, 365. Okay.
365.
So do you see that number as enough right now to sustain another 57 or 73 dispensaries, or does it have to grow a lot in order for this to be a market that can be kept going healthy?
I think it'll sustain it. Definitely sustain it. I don't see a problem there. It's gonna be a relief and a burden for the patients, as far as Bill mentioned earlier, how some patients are driving an hour. So one way to find, so it's really going to help there by the increase of those with the patient base. The problem, and that's one of the problems with the number I just gave you, of that we have over 200,000 patients that have never purchased. So they've got recommended, they've even been registered. But so if you take the current 132,000, I think it is, that are still active, they're purchasing to this day. And you look at what they're doing, almost $600 million so far this year. If you add in another 200,000 on that, we're looking at 1.6 billion dollars in numbers for Ohio in the third year. So if we can get those patients that are actually or have their recommendation and may be registered, get them to participate, definitely the 73 dispensaries are going to help, and we're probably going to need more. And I think that's what they're looking at. One of the things in Senate Bill 261 as well.
You think you can get to a $1.2 billion medical market in Ohio?
Definitely. Yeah. I don't see a problem there. If you do the numbers on, as I said, the 365,000 that have received recommendations in Ohio, if you do the numbers right now, it actually puts us at $1.6 billion. If they were purchasing like every other patient was, which is, I think it's kind of like $4,000 a year. So if we do the numbers on all of that, Ohio is definitely a state of large consumption of cannabis products, whether it be with the program we have now or on the illicit market.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Tim. I don't even look at that top number anymore. I really just look at that second number that shows patients that actually purchase product. You're absolutely right. We need to close that gap in patients who have gotten their card and who aren't actively using the card. So, and it's absolutely, I mean, the more stores are going to help. I mean, I work a lot of pop-ups. We call them pop-ups or education days at the stores, at the dispensaries. And that's just where we go into the store and we set up a table, and we have, you don't have samples or anything, but you just have literature, and you just get a chance to interact with patients and just talk to them. Hey, what are you coming in here for today? Have you heard of Beneleaves? Let me tell you about some of the new products we have. And it's just a fantastic opportunity just to interact with patients and really find out what they're looking for and how we can help. But you consistently hear about how, yeah, I drove here today from Dayton, or I drove from East Cleveland. You're like, wow, and that's just patients are looking for certain products, certain items. So having more stores right in your backyard is absolutely going to help. So we can, and to your earlier question,
Bill,
we
just out
can
of
handle.
curiosity, or uh-oh, I'm sorry,
You're
I'm
freezing.
having some internet issues.
Yeah, you're freezing up a little bit.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. The Bill, just out of curiosity, what is a per pound cost of wholesale pound cost of flour right now in Ohio?
Wholesale, $1,200.
That's pretty low. And so that's is that a Croptober price, or is there, is it generally higher in the summer?
No. That's no, we've got some real good growers in the state. I mean, Ohio, the Midwest, we know how to grow products. Corn, soybeans, cannabis. We know how to grow products. So you give us a chance, we'll compete with the nation. So no, that's just, we have excellent growers in the state.
All right. Well, I think people will. You just threw down the glove, because I know in Missouri it's 3,500. In Illinois, it can float as much as 4,000. And Michigan has been having, well, actually, now that they have Croptober, it's dropping down. You're on somebody else, and look out for some other Midwesterners. So I want to ask you guys about just, we're talking about legislation. What's the general thinking on legal use? I mean, there is a petition right now that's moving, for a legislative petition that's moving right now to try and get the legislature to vote on this. There hasn't been a whole lot of action in the legislature on adult use. There's been some kind of talk. Tim, can you talk about that a little bit? And then maybe Bill, you follow up?
Yeah. Currently in Ohio, we have on the Democrat side, we've introduced Senate Bill or House Bill 382 for adult choice program, introduced by Rep. Weinstein and Rep. Upchurch. We also have, that should be getting introduced hopefully either, I'm going to say next week. On the Republican side, Rep. Callender and Rep. Ferguson have introduced an adult choice program. The difference between the two, other than a little bit of language here and there, is on the Republican side, they've got bipartisan support. On the Democrat side, they're still looking for it. The indirect initiative that you mentioned that could possibly be on the ballot in 2022, it's more of a guiding sphere for the legislators to get busy and create a program. Otherwise, we're going to put it on the ballot in November 22 and let the citizens of Ohio vote on it. And it's very possible this time around that we're going to see success other than what we've seen in 2015. So I think that overall, all three of the programs that have been introduced are complementary to the state of Ohio. The only issues that I see with them is their lack of attention to the criminal justice side in the programs. They seem to shy away from that, and they focus more on, this is the tax dollars it's going to bring in, et cetera. And it kind of goes from there. So there's more to a cannabis program than just commerce coming in. And I applaud commerce, the opportunity to create tax dollars and for people to have companies and employees and so forth. But in the same sense, the patients are the demand in this. And the figure that Bill gave is, I think, a good example of the patients in Ohio that, we've actually had 186,000 purchasing last year, and now we're down to 132,000. We've had 50-some thousand people drop off because they're not protected because of pricing. And I think that's a good reflection of how strong the demand side patients in Ohio is. So that should play a factor. In my opinion, when you create a bill, we want to protect the demand, and we got to do that by, giving people a right to get up and go to work without having to worry about a urinalysis test, without having to worry about, impaired driving or, parental rights or possession of a firearm and so on and so on. So those things need to be addressed other than just creating a commerce.
Yep. Yep. I appreciate all the conversation we've had. I think recreational is not if, but when. There's been a ton of talk about it the last couple of weeks. Almost every day now, I'm seeing another article about it, and I think it's going to be good. And I really just like the awareness. I just like the fact that people are reading more about cannabis. Cannabis, they've been marketing against cannabis for, when I say they, a lot of people have been marketing against cannabis for a long time and just saying it's the worst thing on earth. It's the devil's lettuce. And it's unfortunate. I mean, we can actually help. If you can't sleep or if you got serious pain, we've got something that can help you out. So rec is going to be good for a lot of people, that they can just get the medicine that they need and be happy.
So, but I mean, both of you have been, Tim, you've been saying this here, and Bill, when you and I have talked about it, that it seems like there's a certain reluctance among Republicans to move on adult use. And especially in the Senate, which is heavily, I think, 5 to 8 Republican and Democrat. And have been very wary about getting into adult use cannabis because it's seen as a partisan issue.
You know what?
Is that the case?
For me, it's really just awareness. More of those people that are on the fence and aren't sure, you'd be shocked at how, I ask them all the time, like, hey, have you been to a cannabis facility? Have you seen these growers? If you come and see my facility, which, by the way, I invite anyone who's listening, if you're in Columbus, you want a tour of a cannabis facility, come see Beneleaves. Well, we proudly stand behind everything we make. If you came and saw these facilities and came and saw the attention to detail, the science that's involved in this, I think they'd have a lot better understanding of this opportunity. We're not growing in red solo Dixie cups. And everything that comes out of our facility is tested 3 times by an independent lab. So I really believe that the people that are against this just haven't had the opportunity to come and see what's really going on. Come see the opportunity. Come and see the patients of Ohio. Talk to some of these patients and see who are actually benefiting from cannabis. I got a guy who works with me right now. He's got sickle cell, and he was on a handful of big pharma drugs. He's off of all of that now, and he's medicating he's dealing with his pain through cannabis. He's a fantastic worker. He helps me out a ton with building sales. So it's really just awareness and just seeing that this is a fantastic industry. It can help a lot of people. A lot of people can benefit from this. So it's just awareness.
Yeah, I got to agree with Bill. I think the number one thing is educational awareness. The problem that we run into in politics in the state houses every couple of years, we've got new bodies coming in, new legislators coming in, taking their seat. They haven't received the educational awareness that those that have been there when we created the program. So it's like we got to go back through it all again. Now I'm going back to 132 offices again, or in case of like a couple of years ago, we had to go back through another 60 offices for all new legislators that come in. We got to educate them and get that fear. We got to let them know that the propaganda and the stigma that they've been hearing for 80 some years is a lie. And so they've got to understand that, be willing to accept that themselves, and get on the internet or open a book or whatever, or just listen to people and believe people when they're trying to update you and educate you on, on this program and on this plant. When it comes to the Republican, as far as, what side of the aisle you're on, yeah, the Democrats do in Ohio tend to lead more towards, let's get this done for the people, for our constituents. It's what they want. Well, I think we're up to like 68-70% in Ohio that want to, full legalization of, the plant. So Republicans have, even though, you know, Senator Republican or Representative Huffman that introduced 523, that was actually created by Senator Yuko at the time. It was introduced by Republicans because they control the House and the Senate. So that's how the game is kind of played down there. And it's kind of, we're seeing that same thing right now. Same thing happened in the PAMP program. Huffman introduced that as well. And then the Democrats came in and were behind him. Republicans, a lot of more of them are on board than what people seem to think. It's just getting them to communicate with each other and say, yeah, we're on the same plan here. Let's get this done. And there is a good possibility with, well, the hearing I sent in yesterday for Senate Bill 261, the panel or the committee was, I think, 3 of the 7 were here when we created the program. So we've got 4 people on, or 4 members on that committee that they're like, well, what's the difference between cannabis and marijuana? Doesn't it lead to opiate addiction? That's the mentality that we're still dealing with down there. And you know, there's a lot of great people down there, but just getting them on board and get rid of this, you know, we're one side of the aisle, you're the other side. It's got to be bipartisan for something to happen down there. And I think I see some stuff, you know, as Bill said, it's not a matter of if it's coming, it's a matter of when. And it's in 2022, I think we're going to see some action, hopefully a vote on a bill and maybe implement it in 2023.
Okay. I want to thank you very much, Tim. That was great. And I want to point out to everybody, if you have questions, please put your questions in the chat. I did get, there's a couple of things that I want to answer to people right away. One person asked, what's Michigan's wholesale cost for flower? I'm taking numbers from an article that was written by my colleague, Deborah Bayless, about Michigan, and there's a number of growers that's quoted in there that talk about current prices, which has taken a big dive because of Croptober. And one question for you, Bill, that's asked by Christine Wildrick, who I know is a dispensary owner in Illinois. Do you own or operate a medical dispensary?
No, I own a processing facility here in Columbus, Ohio. So we make the vape pens, we make capsules, we make gummies, we make a lotion. We just started making chocolate bars. What am I missing? Chocolate bars. Oh, and we make gluten-free cookies. So we make all the products and then we sell them to dispensaries. We're a standalone processor here in Columbus.
The gluten-free cookies is a good one. There's not a lot of people that offer those.
Exactly. We teamed up with a local bakery here in Columbus, and he had the recipes. We have the THC, and we're just trying to get the patients of Ohio variety. A lot of time when I work these vendor days, these pop-ups, the patients come in, and you know, some might come in and say, "Hey, I want cannabis, but I don't want the smoke. I don't want my kids to see me smoking on one of my clothes. What else you got? Oh, we got gummies. I'm diabetic. What else you got? Well, I've got capsules. Okay, that might win. What else you got? Well, I've also got lotion." So we're just trying to give the patients of Ohio variety.
So I want to ask you guys something else, which is, you know, so we've been talking about legalizing, we've been talking about ways to expand the number of people that have access to medical. And right now there's an application for more dispensaries. Do you guys see more appetite from regulators to add even more licenses, say licenses for cultivation or more processors or more dispensaries?
Probably not. I think they're going to just, the easy one is cultivation. I don't think they're going to award more cultivators. I think they're just going to allow the cultivators that are currently in business to let them just grow their size. And I know they're all anxious to also. I can think of several level 2 grows that are putting out fantastic product and who just look and say, "Hey, listen, we're putting out good flower. Just give us a little more space and we'll put out a lot more flower." So I don't see that happening. And with processors, definitely not. There's 48 that were awarded for the state of Ohio. So, and I think there's, 48 awarded. I think there's 23 open. That's a lot of processors. So I don't see that. I don't see that happening.
The bill is, the way the program of the bill was set up is that every 2 years, they do an analysis of it, Department of Commerce, to decide if we need more processors, cultivators, or testing. Board of Pharmacy to decide if we need more dispensaries. Well, Board of Pharmacy come around and said, okay, we need 73 more dispensaries, as is what the applications today are for. What's ironic about Ohio wanting to, as far as more cultivator license, I don't see that anywhere in the near future. We just actually, October 1st, they started taking, open the application for all qualified cultivators to expand from either 3,000 to 6,000 or 25,000 to 50,000. And they still have one more step to expand after that. The good thing, to elaborate on this, and Bill, if you haven't heard it yet, I think you'll probably enjoy the sound of music here. With that Senate Bill 261, if we get everything that's been added on that, one of the things is for standalone processors to possibly have a shot at getting a cultivator license, being awarded one through the program too, so that we can vertically integrate them. And the reason to do that, Bill's really
On
close
top
with
of the existing licenses, on top of the
Yes.
existing.
Yes, on top of those. They actually want to expand the tier 1 cultivators immediately to 75,000. I suggested 100,000 square feet. Tier 2, they want to expand from 3,000, the current, and get them go to 20,000. My suggestion was let every license holder go to 100,000, and of course it's going to be a larger fee every year, but you're automatically at 100,000. Let the free market work, you know. And if somebody wants to grow 50,000 square feet, let them grow 50,000. You don't have to grow 100,000. But that's the issue in Ohio is the regulatory agencies, they control too much of it as if it's their own business, you know, sitting on a corner street somewhere. And that's not what it's about. So I think Senate Bill 261 is going to clear some of that up. It's actually going to allow the cultivators currently all the cultivator or licensed cultivators to grow. And it's going to assist the processors greatly. And then per the numbers, they're asking basically for 300 more dispensaries. I don't see that happen. They're basing that off of for every 1,000 patients, they want a dispensary based on the current 300,000+ patients. They want to cut it at the 300. So if we're going to be at 133,000 here after this award, that would be another 167 more dispensaries with the passage of 261 as it stands. That would be a total of 300 in the state of Ohio. I'm not sure if who that's going to favor, the license holders or the patients. My opinion is probably a little bit too much. Too much coming into the market at that time, and it could, start harming, licensees and so forth. But it's the opportunity, and I think that the cultivation, we've got plenty of room to do it if they just open that up. As we know, Ohio is on the illicit market. Ohio is one of the top 3 production and consumption states in the U.S. So it gives you an idea of what our base is here. When we did the program, we had our patient base on the 21 conditions at the time was 3 million people. So imagine that if it's an open market and the patients have protection rights. I mean, if you look at the math of what we could be doing right now versus what that's going to open up for us. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. And hopefully the cultivators will have a smile on their face and get to grow more for us.
So I want to go right into that, which is that a question from Monica Wells is, can the current cultivation facilities accommodate the growth of the 73 additional licenses, or will they need to ramp up or get more space in order to meet the distribution needs in the state?
I think they can.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah. No, I agree. They will. Luckily, they gave them that heads up. When was that? October, when they let them all double their size? Yep. Luckily, and they're all actively working to build out right now. I have tremendous confidence in the cultivators in Ohio and their ability to put out products. So yeah, we'll be ready. The program will be ready for those stores to open. So after that, now there's a difference. The 73 stores taking us to 130 stores. Yeah, it may get lean for a couple months while a couple people finish out their build outs, but we'll be okay. But if we went wreck like in the middle of next year, Now that's a whole nother story. But that's a good problem. We'll face it when it comes.
Yeah, it's our cultivators currently, we still have, I think we've got 27 operational and maybe another 10 or 12 that haven't even opened yet. So once they get, in production, there'll be more product on the shelf. And we hear this from a lot of the patients, and I understand, we've been groomed on the strain name of the product. The strain name of Bubba Kush in Colorado is not going to be Bubba Kush in Ohio. It's going to be different. The profiles are going to be different. So if patients start focusing more on the profile of the product, that's going to be much more help for them dependent upon their condition. It's just the same with the pharmaceutical drug. You look at the drug breakdown. What are the compounds in there? You don't just call it, it's this and it does this. And I think that's one of the things that we fall short of in the cannabis industry is we're in strain names. In Ohio, we see it affecting on our ORS reports, our medication reports. It shows the strain names on there. When you go see your doctor goes crazy and goes, what are these, what's this green crack stuff that you got? And that's what's listed in the ORS report that the doctor. So now you're in a position, you got to tell the doctor what the green crack is. What's the cannabis strain name, doc? I'm in the medical program. I am. And so they get confused. So some of that stuff, you just put medical cannabis on there. That's all we need to do. But yeah, I think our cultivators, as Bill said, they're competent and they're able to handle it.
All right, no
That's
more
a good
green,
point.
no more green crack.
No more green crack. That's a good point. The patients have a lot more power than they know, and they need to wield it. Just raise your hand and tell the state what you want. If you want to eliminate the day system, just raise your hand and let them know. If you want 300 stores in the state of Ohio, the patients of Ohio just need to speak up. And just let Ohio know exactly what you want out of this program. They have a lot more power than they think they do. So,
Bill, I have a question for you. It's an interesting question from one of the participants here. Do you have any noteworthy insights on cannabis packaging trends in Ohio? Are people mostly using or wanting glass, environmentally controlled bags, et cetera?
Because of the regulations, packaging is it's an issue in that it's kind of wasteful. We have to jump through a lot of hoops to make certain it's child safe, and so we do use glass. We should use a lot more. There's more. I was in Vegas a month ago for MJ BizCon, and there's a ton of sustainability packaging out there. So we're we're researching that as we speak, and just trying to introduce more of that into our packaging. But the trend is we're all just trying to get something that's going to get approved and that can get you out there right now. So we're desperately working to give the patients of Ohio better selection. And so if anybody's got options out there, or if somebody makes packaging, please let us know about it. We're happy to try new things out. That's one great thing about this industry is the rules aren't written yet. We're painting the plane as it's flying. So other industries or other states, if something's working there, please share it, because we can change on a dime.
We've got another interesting question here. Why do you guys think the cost of flour is so low in Ohio? $1,200 is pretty low.
What's low? I was at a meeting today. A guy was telling me he's paying, like a couple $100 in California. So low.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
When he told me that, I almost fell out of my chair. Like, I need to pack my facility up and move to California. So
yeah. No, it's a disaster zone. Do that.
Yeah, it's kind of in the eyes of the beholder. I think, for Ohio to be, representing with like around $1,200 a pound right now, wholesale to the processors, is kind of a reflection that we're new. We're new to, a legal industry here, and there's adjustments going on. Not only that, it does help keep, as Bill said, how important patients are. And I've reiterated the demand comes from patients. You start throwing a higher price on the processors and they got to raise their price, product's going to sit on the shelf because we can go to Jimmy on the corner and get it for half the price and just pretty much the same quality.
And let me ask you about Jimmy on the corner. I mean, how pervasive is the underground market in Ohio, particularly outside of the three main cities? How pervasive would you say?
It's still very serious. It's still the majority of the business, quite frankly. 60–70% of the all cannabis business. So yeah, we haven't made a dent in the what do they call it? Black market, traditional market.
Underground.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't made a dent in it yet. And it's it's a shame. It's a shame. We're all doing, I mean, our growers are making fantastic product. We're making good products. If you go and buy something from the dispensary, it's triple tested. You know exactly what you're getting every single time. It's, in my opinion, I mean, yeah, okay, fine. I work for a company that sells this, but it's worth it to walk into a dispensary and know exactly what you're getting, exactly what you're ingesting.
Right. Yeah, I got, for Ohio, here's where I'll take you to. I know when I was still working the streets that we could, law enforcement in Ohio do that 1 billion to 1.5 billion they were aware of for the illicit market in Ohio in cannabis. That's what they're aware of. Think of what they're not aware of. So we could be pushing figures of $3 billion in the illicit market in Ohio. It's here alive and well. And we've got to reflect back and understand the legal market came from the illicit market. Those people that come out of the basements and the closets and the pole barns and the fields and so forth, they're now working legitimately in the industry. So they're bringing their knowledge with them. And not only that, kind of as Bill touched on, they now have financial support to do legitimate testing and legitimate research and mass production instead of just having 2 or 3 strains. Now they're growing 10, 12, 15 strains possibly for their employer. So there is a big difference there. But the market in Ohio last year, actually it was nationally, 80% of all cannabis sales in the US were still on the illicit market. So it gives you an idea of what's still available for the legal market, to the goal to reach out and grab some of that, because we're always going to have that illicit market, but you can sharpen it a little bit and drop some of them numbers. And we'll see, as we see more states coming on board with, medical and adult programs and federal legalization, we'll see the legal market taking a bigger chunk out of that.
All right. Well, we've hit our 45-minute mark. I want to thank Tim for joining you. The way Bill, can you tell the way for folks to be able to reach you?
Beneleaves.com, simple. You can find our products in all the Ohio dispensaries. You need to reach me. I'm at info@beneleaves.com. We're a small friends and family owned company, so it'll get to me real fast.
And
Tim, what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, you're freezing up a little bit, Mike, but I think I got you. I did just add my email in the chat. The company is cannabissafetyfirst.com, and it's timj.cannabissafetyfirst@gmail.com. That's
great. Thank you for helping me with my internet shabbiness here today. AT&T is not serving me well. I'm marking that one up. So once again, Tim and Bill, I want to thank you for your time today. And I also want to thank our sponsors, American Cannabis Company, Englewood Construction, and Grown and Learning for making this happen today. Our next webinar on what's happening in New York State is scheduled for December 16th at noon Central Time. Hope you can join us. Thank you all very much for being here today. This was a great time.